Hey, hey, and welcome back to J.P.'s World of Wrestling. I am your man, J.P., and today we continue on with our WrestleMania journey. And today we go back to the year 1994. Now, this is 10 years after the original WrestleMania took place, and how fitting that this one takes place in the very same venue that it took place in just a decade prior. So it's 1994, Madison Square Garden, and this is the event poster, 10 years in the making. Now I actually really enjoy this WrestleMania. It's the first one with no Hulk Hogan. He's gone, he's out of the picture. You know, he's off making movies, getting ready to probably join up with WCW. But, there's no Hulk Hogan on this event. They had to rely on guys like Bret Hart and Lex Luger and Shawn Michaels and Yokozuna. So the story for this event was at the Royal Rumble. So Yokozuna at this point is the champion, and he won the champion at the King of the Ring the previous year, but he's been the champion for a long time. But both Bret Hart and Lex Luger are the big stars. They're on the rise, and they kind of experimented around with Lex Luger to maybe see if he could be kind of the next Hulk Hogan, but it really wasn't working out that way. The fans really weren't taken to him like they did Hulk, so Vince decided to go with Bret. And so at the Royal Rumble, both Lex Luger and Shawn Michaels, or not Shawn Michaels, Lex Luger and Bret Hart both eliminated each other at the same time at the end. So they were both declared the winner of the Royal Rumble. And so at WrestleMania, they both got to wrestle for the championship. So here's how they played it out. So on Monday Night Raw, Gorilla Monsoon, or I think it was Vince McMahon, or somebody flipped a coin. And whoever won the coin toss got to wrestle Yokozuna first. The other guy had to wrestle in a match before the event started, or as the events were started, because they wanted to keep it fair. Because since Yokozuna was going to have to wrestle twice, whoever wrestled Yokozuna was going to have to wrestle twice. So, or whoever, both parties were going to have to wrestle twice. So they flipped a coin. And so Lex Luger won the coin toss, so he would get to wrestle Yokozuna first. But if Bret had won the coin toss, Bret would have wrestled Yokozuna first, and then Luger would have wrestled Crush. But that didn't happen. So Lex won the coin toss, so he got to wrestle Yokozuna first at WrestleMania 10. But since Bret lost the coin toss, he actually wrestled his brother Owen Hart. And that match, even though it was the opening match, it was one of the greatest WrestleMania matches I've ever seen. It was just so good. I mean, both those guys, brought their A game, and they were both. And it was, even though Owen Hart was sort of playing the heel, you could kind of see, like, his viewpoint. He was tired of being held back by Bret. He was tired of being in the shadow of Bret. So he had to branch out on his own. And even if it means turning on his brother, becoming heel, that's what you got to do sometimes. So Owen ended up winning that match. He won that match. And so therefore, Bret didn't look as strong going into the main event, which told you whoever won between Luger and Yoko was going to have to wrestle a Bret Hart who had just lost the match. And so, anyways, so that match happened. So there was some pretty good matches on this card. There was a mixed tag, Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon versus Doink the Clown and his little guy partner Dink the Clown. So Bam Bam and Luna won that one. And then Crush and Macho Man Randy Savage wrestled in Macho Man's final WrestleMania appearance. But it was a Falls Count Anywhere match. But it was weird. Normally in Falls Count Anywhere, you pin somebody outside the ring, that's it. But in this one, if you pinned them outside the ring, they had a minute to get back into the ring. So they were wrestling all over, and they ended up in the back where Macho Man got Crush down, but he tied Crush's legs to a scaffolding. Returned to the ring. Crush couldn't make it back to the ring. Crush loses the match. Macho Man wins. That's it. Macho won. Not much to say after that. So, and then there was a really short match. There was Atom Bomb taking on Earthquake. Earthquake won because Atom Bomb was distracted by the Fink, because the Fink had pushed Harvey Whippleman, Atom Bomb's manager. So Atom Bomb came down, got into the face of the Fink. Earthquake comes down, attacks Atom Bomb from behind, gets the quick win. So then there was the first of two WWF Championship matches. Lex Luger versus Yokozuna, the champion. So the guest referee was Mr. Perfect, a guy that had lost to Luger the year before. So I think that kind of added to the story of this match. So at the end of the match, Luger had Yokozuna knocked out with his forearm, but he had also knocked out Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji, who were laying on the ring apron. So while Mr. Perfect's trying to get Jim Cornette and Fuji out of the ring, Lex Luger comes over and pushes on Perfect, saying, "Hey, come on, I'm pinning Yoko." So he goes for the cover. Mr. Perfect disqualifies him for putting his hands on the referee, and so Yokozuna would win that match. So, there were some other matches. I think, there was a ladder match. The ladder match for the Intercontinental title. It's considered one of the other greatest WrestleMania matches ever. Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, a ladder, 2 belts at the top of the ladder. Whoever can get both belts wins the match. So they used the ladder for a weapon. It was an epic match, but in the end, Razor Ramon won the match. Reign Supreme was considered the undisputed Intercontinental Champion, because the way that happened was Shawn Michaels was the Intercontinental Champion, but he got hurt or something. He couldn't defend the title within the 30-day time period. So they stripped him of the title, and Razor Ramon won it in a battle royal, won the Intercontinental title. And so then, but Shawn Michaels comes back and says, "Now wait a minute. Razor Ramon never beat me. I was the champion. If he wants to really be considered the champion, he's going to have to beat me." And so Shawn Michaels had a bogus belt made up. So there were 2 Intercontinental belts. So Razor won the ladder match. So then there was the second WWF Championship match. Yokozuna, once again defending the title, this time against Bret the Hitman Hart, who had lost to his brother Owen Hart in the first match. So he won the match. So actually, I got to go back, because Roddy Piper was the guest referee in that last match. So I think he did a pretty good job as a referee. He was fair and impartial. He didn't screw anybody over. But anyway, in the end, Yokozuna had Bret Hart down. But when he went to the second rope for the bonsai drop, he slipped. He fell backwards, and then Bret covered him. Piper counted 1, 2, 3. Bret wins the match, wins the title, and he starts his big run as the WWF champion. Now, this was his second run. His first run, where he beat Ric Flair, he lost it at WrestleMania 9 against Yokozuna. But now he has beaten Yokozuna. He has, he has made himself look strong. And he got the win back from Yoko. So now he's the champion. And now it's off to the races with a brand new champion and a brand new face of the WWF. And this is a pretty good event. No Hulk, but I think they pulled it out, even though there was no Hulk. But anyway, that was 1994. Now, 1994 was a transitional period. It was kind of the start of the transition. The next year, they would start going with the new WWF generation. But then Bret would start feuding with Shawn Michaels, and the next year he would feud with Shawn Michaels and Diesel, and he would lose the title to Diesel, and actually no, he would lose the title to Bob Backlund, and then Bob Backlund would lose to Diesel, and then Bret Hart would spend almost a whole year trying to get the title back. But he eventually does get the title back, and he becomes what's considered to be one of the greatest champions ever. So he was kind of low drawing champion. He didn't bring in a lot of money, but again, I don't think that was Bret's fault. I think it was the fact that Bret didn't have any like real big epic opponents to work with. I mean, he had his brother Owen, Razor Ramon was there, Diesel, and Shawn Michaels, but he really didn't have any big epic opponents to beat. He was feuding with guys like Isaac Yankem and Jean-Pierre Lafitte, the Pirate. And Jerry Lawler. He didn't have any big opponents. So that's just my take on it. Anyway, WrestleMania 10. Interesting thing about that event was that my friend Joe, he's been on this video before, this channel. When he was younger, his parents owned a video store. That's right, kiddies. We used to have these things called video store where you'd have to actually go into the store, find a movie like this or DVD, go up to the counter, pay some money, then they would give it to you. You could take home and watch it. Then you'd have to take it back. Anyway, they owned a video store, and but sometime during that time, in a dumpster, they found a bunch of copies of WrestleMania 10. So they got a bunch of copies of WrestleMania 10 for free, and I was one of the ones who was privy to one of the copies that they got. So anyway, fun fact. So that was WrestleMania 10, and that's going to do it for this video. So if you're new, go ahead and like, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you next time.